So I've got 2. I've got 2. That's easy. I went to school. It's 4. But then again, some people see it as 22. So that proves that people are intelligent. They think outside the box. And also, their emotions can play with us. Some people will find that funny. But some people find that a little bit, truly different. So they think about others in a different way then. And that's where emotional leadership comes to the fore. So you got to think of intelligence and how it can work, and know that people's emotions, they're just ingrained. They're wrapped up with all this intelligence as well, and how they think. People make emotional decisions. So emotional intelligence in leadership is so important. So much so that, many leaders in our world, in our companies, in our businesses, they lack emotional intelligence. And though it's their human trait, leaders lead best when they understand others' emotions. So we need to get to the bottom of this. Let's do it. This is why emotional intelligence is so needed nowadays. It's required in great leaders. The problem, though, is that most leaders think they have these skills honed, but they don't. So let's look at it from a gendered point of view. Men and women are different types of people. Yep. And this affects how they lead also as females and as male leaders. Generally, and I'm generalizing, men rule the world. That's what they say. Although there has been a huge increase in the popularity of feminism in the past few decades, there is still a long way to go. Particularly when we think about, say, women as being leaders or becoming leaders. By far, there are more male leaders in the world than there are female leaders. And as the old saying goes, it's a man's world. But it's also a changing world. So, if we look back to early 2021, the United States finally swore in a female as the first US Vice President. Her name was Kamala Harris, and she was also a biracial person, as her parents were both from the Indian and Jamaican sources of this world. They were immigrants. And that was a huge moment for all Americans, for all immigrants, and for all female leaders in the world as well. And as the US, of course, is a massive superpower, it will change the way the world sees female leaders forever. And I'm not talking just specifically about Harris herself, because females are soft. Now, in general, females have more intuitive, soft skills. And this intuitive femininity aids a woman's emotional intelligence. Males don't have this ability as naturally. However, that's not to say that many males don't have it at all. It's just that males that have been in higher positions of leadership over the years have been less aware of the ability within themselves and within females that are also under their leadership. Yet, the truth is, all male leaders have the ability to tap into this and their emotional intelligence. It's important to do so for the future of leadership, because many men, they don't want to admit it, but they are, and I am, largely female. Because you have both the female and the male, and the ability to recognize your female traits has to be there within you. But again, most male leaders ignore this, when they're making decisions. And that means they are ignoring many of their staff's inner emotions, how they think. Now, by tapping into people's emotions, male leaders can improve rapport and indeed productivity as a result. But what are the disadvantages? There must be disadvantages, surely, of emotional leadership. Of course, there are disadvantages of emotional leadership. In certain situations, in certain ways, decisions may need a more autocratic approach. There's no doubt about that. Let me give you an example. Going back to when COVID-19 struck, many people became ill around the world, and some governments went for a soft approach in asking people to have self-responsibility, whereas other countries ordered people to stay indoors. And yet, the virus spread and unfortunately killed many people, as it didn't do bargains with people's emotions. And this is where a more autocratic approach can be used well with people's emotions in mind. So let's look at the advantages of emotional leadership. Because it's really important to know that even in, say, a world pandemic, in that last example, which killed so many people, there was and is a need to understand emotions, because it was the emotions of people that reacted with panic at the initial time when COVID-19 struck. And as a result, several lockdowns came about, simply because people reacted with their feelings. The disease, the virus, it kept spreading. And so businesses that had opened up for a little while, they had to unfortunately close down again. And this constant opening up and closing down again, well, it affected many businesses, many companies. And this further challenged the business owners, the staff, and the customers' emotions too, the brand itself. So even with autocratic leadership, people's emotions need to be central to the whole decision-making process of leaders. Emotional intelligence is your leadership future. Grasp it, live it. The future of good leadership is in understanding and using emotional intelligence. Of that, I'm 100% confident. Many naturally bossy leaders, they'll fail to grasp this, and their employees and followers, well, they'll simply lose faith in the whole process. As younger people then are churned out and come on the scene and are recognizing the need to look within themselves, then managers of the future, they will need to be able to communicate at this human level, including all emotions. That's why, to be a great leader, you will need to have great emotional intelligence as well. Male leaders need to surround themselves with more females. For a male to be a great, fantastic emotional leader, he needs to seek out females around him. If he fails to understand the female intuition that he himself holds within, well, he can still utilize supporting females to bounce his potential decision-making strategies or methodologies off them. This can also exercise the strength of delegation within his leadership. And for a male leader to do this is to show strengths and an overall willingness to adapt to the emotions of others And this will truly be appreciated by all those that are under his leadership. Once people's emotions are understood and decisions are made in response to the majority of emotional beliefs, and there are different emotional beliefs, then followers, employees, they'll get behind their leader and they'll do their very best to work at their most productive. Because if the majority of decisions made by a manager, a boss, or an owner turns out to be incorrect or puts pressure on employees or followers, then the majority will still understand where the leader comes from or came from when the time came to make that important decision in the first place. So once you put people's emotions first, you remain the first person that they truly want to be their leader. So it's a win-win situation. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, well, hit that subscribe button. Until next time though, have a wonderful day.